Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So, listen, we have a lot to talk about yesterday's match, right? First off, let me say this: hats off to Atalanta, because that was, listen, when I say we were made to work for that fucking win, we were made to work for that fucking win. It was not an easy match at all. Even after we went up 3-1, at that point, honestly, I was like, all right, wonder who else is just gonna get on the score sheet, right? Wonder who else is just gonna get on it. I really wanted Rodrigo to score, right? So that's the kind of thought I had going into the rest of the match after we went up 3-1. Nope. Nope. They came back, they scored. They very easily could have equalized in the end with a fucking sitter of a miss from their part, right? Courtois had a great game, but even he wouldn't be able to reach it. It's just one of those things, man. Like I don't know how the ball didn't go into the net, right? But we very could have easily walked out of that match with 1 point. Um so yeah, man, hats off to Atalanta. That was a hell of a match. Right. So now to real quick to the Madrid part, right? So first off, these injuries keep on coming, bro. Now apparently, I was hopeful that the injury for Mbappe wasn't bad because as much as critical as I've been of him, injuries is the one thing that you never want to happen to any player, like at all, right? And reports are coming in that it's not as bad as it seems, so that's a good thing. And I'll give him credit, man, for those minutes that he played. I believe he was on the field for 36 minutes. He looked a lot better than he did before. Now, I still need to see more of him because honestly, that's not saying much based on his performances so far, right? But he looked more comfortable with the ball. His first touch for his goal was fucking amazing. He missed a sitter in the beginning. It would have counted as offsides anyway, right? It's no surprise there at this point, honestly. But it was a great run, and up until he got subbed off, he was having a much better match than he had, recently, which sucks that in the match where he's doing a lot better than he was before, that's the one that he has to get subbed off, right? So it fucking sucks. Um, Bellingham proved, and I think he deserved man of the match. But he proved why this Madrid team, or why he's the engine of it, bro. This man was fucking everywhere. He was everywhere. He was doing everything. He was making defensive plays. He was making offensive plays. He was making runs. Um, at one point, I'm looking at the match and I'm like, yo, like, what the hell was he doing? Because, bro, he was on the right side. Like, he fucking defended and attacked from the right side, right? When obviously, if you've seen Bellingham play, he's better, a little bit, a little more in the offensive half, right? But down the middle. But man, this kid was fucking everywhere, man. He was everywhere. Everything that we achieved this season, right? Despite obviously, I still think Vinny's overall the star man in Madrid, right? It's his team, but to me, everything that we do this season that's successful is going to depend on Bellingham and his health, right? And the reason why I say his health is, man, this kid also looked tired. He looked tired by the end of the match. You could just fucking see it. You could just see it in his fucking eyes. Oh, and also, I swear, my hair doesn't always look that crazy. It's just the angle of the camera, right? But yeah, man, he was everywhere on that fucking pitch, man. He was doing everything. Like, you can't really ask much more of him. To be honest, at this point, I just wish he was subbed off a little bit sooner. Because Guler came on, I always want to see Guler have a little bit more minutes. But also, man, he just needed a rest. He just needed a rest, especially with the fixture schedule coming up as it is, right? Um, but yeah, man, it was three essential points that we needed because that was a must-win match, right? It doesn't matter who we play next, right? I believe next we play Salzburg, who was having a horrible record in the Champions League, but then after that we play Brest. Brest is one of those teams, man, you can't sleep on, man. You can't. Um, so both those matches are going to be essential too to finish as high on the table as possible. I don't think, based on points, I don't believe it's possible for us to finish in the automatic qualification zone. But still, man, a club like Madrid, we have to make sure that we finish strong. We have to make sure that we finish as high on the table as possible. So, but now with this, we're a little bit more comfortable, even though a few teams have a more still obviously have the game in hand with today's matches. But it was a must-win game, and we walked out of it with 3 points, right? Um, so that's right, the entirety of it. Valverde again was a fucking machine. He was a tank. Him and Bellingham, to me, and Vinny are the heart and soul of Madrid, right? It's how they play. It's their passion for it. It's basically everything, man. Like everything that they do, they represent Madrid great. The one thing that and this has been an issue, I think with Brazilians in general for the most part, right? With the exception, to be fair, to Rafinha, I never see this man go down and just stay there. Like there's a few things where Vinny, he felt like he just easily could have gone back up. There was one point where he lost the ball, right, damn near the penalty box, the penalty area, and he lost it. He could have easily just gotten up, done a quick sprint, and fight a little bit more to recover the ball, right? He always does. He always fights to recover the balls he loses. It's just when he falls, he just looks around for the ref to say something before he does something. Like no, like if you fall down, bro, immediately get back up. Don't try to sell shit, right? And just go get the ball. If anything, the play will be called. It will be called. Um, with that being said, the ref today, yesterday was also really bad. I think for both teams, there was at one point he called an offside for Atalanta, bro. In what world is that offside? And the thing that pisses me off about that kind of shit is you gotta be consistent, right? Like they say that, like I've seen them continue plays for a good 30 seconds, 40 seconds, 45 seconds, and then fucking say it's offside. Why don't you do that all the time? It's either call it quick or just wait for the play to end all the time, right? Now, because like I said, Atalanta was great. Atalanta was great yesterday, so you never know how that play could have ended up, right? It was a few missed calls for us as well, right? It went both ways. But that ref yesterday was overall to me he was horrible. He was fucking horrible. And like I said, in that situation for Atalanta fans, like I understand why you get frustrated, because he called offsides immediately, right? And the replay showed like bro, like it wasn't even close, bro. It wasn't even close. Like it was not an offside. It wasn't. So in that situation, man, like the refs, man, you just gotta do better. Either just be consistent in calling the offsides quick, or be consistent with giving the time to finish the play that's currently being played, right? One or the other. Now for the big negative for Madrid. After watching today's game, I'm very much convinced that if anything's gonna cost us the title, right, or as many trophies as we could possibly win, it's gonna be the defense, right? Now, with that being said, man, it's been 2 seasons in a row where our defense has just been ravaged with injuries, right? So you understand why we're struggling with something, right? But the first issue I had with the lineup is one, even though Vinny did have a good game, it was his first game back from an injury. I would have preferred to have him come off the bench, right? To give him more playing time, because like I mentioned before, training and actually being in a match is two completely different things, right? I played fucking soccer in high school, and that was different, right? Actually being in the match is different than actually just fucking training. Imagine on a professional level. There's no way, right? So yes, he didn't get injured. He didn't re-aggravate the injury. He had a good game, but I still would have preferred to just see him come off the bench, right? Maybe start Kendrick. Um, but the biggest thing to me was Chouameni. Listen, Chouameni is also coming off of a long-term injury. This is the second game starting, right? But on top of that, he's not a natural center back, right? So last season he had a great season in center back, right? But you can't expect him to be that all the time. And on the bench you had Raul Asensio, who is a center back, right? Who is young, who has the legs for it. You can see the passion in his face every time he plays, right? And don't take that away from people. Like sometimes just that passion and that want to be there is a lot more than what other players have, right? And just that is enough for him to get to give you that extra mile. Um, but also, man, it's not even just about that. Like he's been performing well. He's been performing extremely well. So why take him off of the starting lineup, right? That's on the center back pairing. Now Alaba's back in training. He's gonna be coming back. And then Militao's out for the rest of the season. So I fully expect by the time that Alaba's good and game time ready, for the center back pairing to be Militao and David Alaba. But in the meantime, man, just give this kid minutes. Just give this kid minutes, because you found and we found a gem. A gem. And like I said, the one thing that I always give Barcelona credit for is the amount of time that they give their academy players, because that's how you find these gems, right? And even if he doesn't stay in Madrid, the more time he plays, the more we could get for him if something happens and we end up selling him, right? I don't want that, but that's the truth. So you're doing nothing by giving him, doing nothing but investing in the future, right? Whether it's when it comes to money wise, when it comes to transfers, or like let's say he fucking becomes the next Sergio Ramos. He needs more playing time in these important matches in order to do that. And I have no problem giving him game time in these important matches, right? But the biggest issue with the defense, man, it's going to be the right back and the left back, right? On, I was going to do it. Don't judge me, right? On the right back, you have Lucas Vasquez, who is an excellent backup right back. I can't really trust him, and mostly because of his age at this point, right? To just keep on having these fucking games where he has to run back and forth, because even if he doesn't, because everyone knows he is a winger, right? Turned right, a turn right back. So like in the match yesterday, bro, like I just kept on seeing him going forward, going forward, going forward to some points where I'm like, bro, like what the fuck are you doing up there at this point in time? You have to come back and defend. There's other players there that are gonna cover that side. Just go back and defend, right? But it's stuck in his head because that's what he does. But at the same time, Danny Carvajal is very similar, but Lucas Vasquez, for all due respect, like I love him. He can stay in Madrid as long as he wants. He's one of the players who to me, has earned the right to leave when he wants. Um, but he's no Danny Carvajal, especially Danny Carvajal last season. It's a fucking shame that to me, Danny Carvajal's best season happened, and then he just fucking tears his ACL in that fucking. Because if you saw the injury, bro, like there was no bones sticking out or something, but that shit just looked bad. It just looked bad, right? So it's a shame because now at that age, it's always harder to recuperate the older you are, especially from a serious injury like that. You never know if he's gonna come back and be the same player he was. Um, so we need coverage on that, man, because Lucas Vasquez is just gonna be struggling there all season. So hopefully in the either from the academy or in the January window, we got a backup. Now Madrid is notorious for not signing players in the winter transfer window, and to be fair, like it makes sense because the last player who we signed in the January transfer window who was at a full of success was Marcelo. That was well over 10 years ago, right? And ironically, he was a left back, right? Then the left back position. You guys know I've never been a fan of Ferland Mendy, and it's mostly just because I don't trust him. Like I mentioned before, he is a very attacking to me um, left back, but he doesn't give you the same on attack that Marcelo does, and he does not give you the same thing on defense that Marcelo does. I think Marcelo is a very underrated player when it comes to his defense. He's not the best of like he's not a 10 out of 10 defender, but he's a solid 8.5, 9. And I don't think many does that, right? So then the backup, who is Fran Garcia, right? What works for him, man, is his speed. He's really fucking fast. But when it comes to having the ball in his hand and to me making the proper defensive play, he's not always there, right? He's a great. I'd like to keep. If anything, I'd rather sell for money because we could get more money for him, right? And keep Fran Garcia as a backup because that's what he does good. That's what he'd be good at. Um, but yeah, as a constant starter, man, like the other player, right? He beat one of the Atalanta defenders just based on speed. He beat him, right? But when it came time to play the ball back out, he had enough time to control the ball. He had enough time to either pass it to Courtois, right? And he had enough time to make these decisions, look up in the field to see where he could pass it, to see where his teammates was. But he just decides to, like, I don't know if it was an attempted pass and just kicked it wrong, but he just decided to blast it, right? Nothing wrong with just blasting out of the area as a defender. But that should be kind of like a last resort where you don't know where anybody is, right? Where you just want to get the ball out because you just focus on the ball and all you know there could be an attacker behind you. But he knew where everybody was because he was clearly looking at the field. So he blasts it and boom, it goes straight into the feet of an Atalanta player, um, and in our own half. And like I mentioned before, man, Atalanta was playing fucking. They were playing amazingly. I did not want to see that fucking happen. I did not want to see the ball in our half at all yesterday. Um, so yeah, it's just hiccups like that he's that you just can't be making at a club like that. Especially with the stakes are that high, because man, like we were dead last on the table when it comes. Well, not dead last as far as dropping out, but dead last as far as like if we lost, we would have been in an extremely bad place, no matter who we are. Because then, to be honest, at that point, who the fuck are we? Like I couldn't tell you that we were gonna go to face Salzburg or Brest and now fucking and win both matches. Now at this point, we have a little bit more breathing room. We could go out and we could fucking kick ass. But yeah, man. Now at this point today, hopefully I'm gonna try to hate watch Barcelona on my phone. And we'll see how the rest of the Champions League fixtures work up. December's looking like a pretty heavy month for us. They're finally gonna get a little bit of a break, after Christmas. But until then, we still have to play a few more league matches. We still have to play in the Intercontinental Club, which is the fucking Club World Cup, right? I don't know if it's gonna be okay. That happened. I did not know the fucking. God did not know the computer camera did that. I'm sorry. Um, but yeah, man, it's gonna be a tough month. Hopefully, we could come home by the end of the month with another trophy, which I'm not sure if it's gonna be the last edition of the old Club World Cup trophy. But knowing FIFA, like I'm really not. I wouldn't be surprised if they still hold the Club World Cup every 4 years and do this bullshit Intercontinental Cup every single year after the Champions. In the old format. I wouldn't be surprised. Do I think we need it? No. If the Club World Cup is every 4 years, it's every fucking 4 years. If you want to get rid of that Club World Cup and just do it how it has been going, I'm absolutely fine with that too. But you gotta pick one or the other, man. These players need a rest at some fucking point in time. Um, but yeah, guys. So that's just my not so quick reactions to the game. Did you guys watch the game? How did the game go for you? And what did you guys think about Mbappe's performance overall? Like I said, it wasn't on the field for too long, but to me, it was definitely better than his past performances, at least up to now. And hopefully, he just keeps up that trend, because we damn sure need it at this point. At this point, the league is in our hands. Champions League is still very winnable. The Copa del Rey still, obviously, we still have to play that for. We just have a lot of and the Super Cup too is in January, so we have a lot of things coming up, and we need all these players to be in peak shape. But we also need the people coming off the bench to be in peak shape too. But how do you guys think the rest of the season is gonna go? Drop a comment down below. And listen, if you have any hot takes, just fucking drop it down below. We'll go, and to be honest, I'm dying because everyone has hot takes in football, bro. And I know some people would hate mine, right, or disagree with them, but we can actually have, a discussion about it. And it's something that I want to do. But yeah, so drop a comment down below with your hot takes. How do you guys think the season's going? How do you think Mbappe is doing? And what are your thoughts on Bellingham so far this season? Because to be honest, up until now, if we go on to, possibly win as many trophies as possible, I think it'd be a very good front runner for the Ballon d'Or. Obviously, as of now, it should still be Mohamed Salah based on his season. But yeah, guys, what do you think? But I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Laters.